Closing out the first week of November, Square Enix announced that they'd be slashing expenses by issuing several layoffs in their European and American branches. But, to make up for the loss in manpower, they anticipate that roughly 70% of their QA work will be automated through generative AI within the next 2 years. And what do you know? Their stock went up by 6% as of this recording. Neat. So this opens up a lot of questions. What would AI and QA even look like? There are already many automated programs in place for QA testers to use. So is this just further automation of a process that is already heavily automated? If so, wouldn't it be better to focus on areas that currently lack automation? Is an AI that's trained to QA test one game going to need to be retrained to QA test another game? Or is it just going to be able to QA test any game because it's just that advanced? The thing is, the answer to these questions don't matter, because setting aside the implications of what it means to replace a living, breathing workforce with generative AI, the term AI doesn't actually mean anything. If Microsoft Word were to be released today, they'd be touting the spell check feature as an innovative AI grammar and spelling assistant to remove the need for an editor. In spite of the ever-growing prevalence of AI in our day-to-day, with lawmakers refusing to instill any meaningful regulations as billions upon billions of dollars are spent constructing and maintaining data centers to support it, AI is still in its infancy. And not even experts have a clear understanding of what it is and isn't capable of accomplishing in the long term. But hey, that's not stopping companies and corporations from throwing their hats into the ring and collecting millions upon millions of dollars in investor funds, based purely on hypotheticals of where AI may or may not be in the next 2 to 3 years. And game developers and publishers have been more than happy to jump on that wagon as well. As development costs and production timelines for video games continue to balloon, the concept of being able to reduce manpower by replacing it with a crunch bot that doesn't need to eat, sleep, or piss in its water bottle is of course going to become more and more appealing as shareholders continue to demand higher and higher profits. But can AI actually accomplish that though? Once again, you're asking questions, and questions don't matter. Maybe at one point in time the stock market was actually based on real, tangible value, but those days are long behind us. America is in the middle of the longest government shutdown in its history, seeing hundreds of thousands of government employees going without pay, yet the big corporations seem to be doing just fine. It's just vibes, all of it, and right now, AI has good vibes. As it exists today, AI is nothing but pure speculation, at least in terms of its involvement with game development. The only games truly made with AI are either pure shovelware or experimental proofs of concept that are honestly kind of fucking horrifying, holy shit. But that doesn't matter, because just think about what it can do. One day. Maybe. Eventually. Probably. Investors love speculation, because why bother selling a shitty product that does exist when you can instead sell an amazing product that exists only in the minds of the people giving you money? Will that blow up in your face one day when it turns out that it can't do what you think it does? Maybe. But if that does happen, then hey, just throw out another vague, speculative shareholder buzzword that sounds tantalizing enough for them to keep throwing money at you. Then, because they keep throwing money at you, it makes your little line go up, making other people want to throw money at you too. It's infinite money! Yay! And what are they throwing this money at you for? Well, that's the beauty of it. No one fucking knows. All the same, it's still a dangerous game they're playing. If not for shareholders, then for the people that actually work for these companies. Across the globe, millions of jobs have been lost due to AI automation, which has led to... interesting results.
Hi, welcome to Taco Bell. What can I get started for you today?
Can I get 18,000 water cups, please?
Okay. What can I get for you?
The more game publishers and developers alike lean into AI, the more theoretical redundancies are created. And because many of these companies are constantly chasing stock prices, it leads to preemptive layoffs like the ones we've seen already, where they're cutting down their workforce and overhead expenses without actually knowing for certain if these AI replacements will be capable of doing the job. Game development is a very competitive environment to break into. Much like teachers and airline pilots, these people aren't there for the money, but simply for the love of the game. And as such, employers are able to leverage the passion of their workers by exploiting them with low wages. The integration of AI is only going to make these jobs even harder to get into. And those who can are able to be leveraged even harder because if they're not willing to work for shit pay, then there are thousands more waiting right outside the door who are. Much like AI itself, the long-term implications of what this bubble we found ourselves in will cause remains to be seen. If Square Enix's venture into NFTs is any indicator, the best outcome one can realistically hope for is that they realize that it's a bad investment, drop it, and hope everyone forgets about it. However, I believe that AI is far beyond the pale of what NFTs were. Every day we see AI creeping more and more into our perception, be it through the ads we watch, the kiosks at our local food joints, or just as an automated assistant that you didn't ask for when you turn on your PC. I don't think it's a question of if the AI bubble is going to burst, but rather when. There are thousands upon thousands of AI companies and startups vying to be bought out by one of the big corporations, and it's a rat race to see who will get scooped up first. But make no mistake about it, there isn't enough room for everyone. Many have gone under already, and many more will follow before this is all said and done. The real question is, what is it going to mean for the average game developer? If AI does take off in all the way that shareholders and investors think it will, then those skills that they've spent decades honing will be effectively worthless. Yet if AI turns out to be a bust, then the ensuing drop in share prices will leave thousands of developers out of the job anyways. There is no happy ending for real workers here. The only ones who stand to benefit from this reckless corporate foray into generative AI are the people who already have all the money. The most they stand to lose from a bust is no doubt going to be a margin of what they already gained from it, while the workers, who are there day in and day out, lose their fucking houses. All that we can really hope for is that whatever blowback does come about from this is swift and easily rectified. But my optimism is very slim, to say the least. This isn't the first time we found ourselves in a tech bubble like this. The dot-com boom at the turn of the millennia saw a very similar situation. A new tech fad came around that had a lot of potential, catching the eyes of investors everywhere. Naturally, companies started leaning into it, securing investor funds for products that didn't even exist yet, thus creating a positive feedback loop where companies could promise the world to collect more money without delivering an actual product, until eventually investors lost confidence and it all came crumbling down, resulting in about 10% of the tech industry workforce being put out of the job. I expect the AI crash, when it does happen, to leave similar aftershocks, and there are likely many game developers that are just going to straight up go out of business. While corporations like Square Enix, EA, and the like are arguably too big to fail, many smaller studios are not so well positioned to endure a hit like that. Even studios that don't actually ingratiate themselves with AI aren't entirely safe from this. The economic model our world uses today demands that every company become a bank. Big box stores, airliners, gas and oil, and even game studios are all banks now. The products they make don't really matter. What matters is that if people deposit money into these companies, they can withdraw more money at a later date. Even indie studios are prone to this. It's not like Sandfall Interactive procured the funds to make Clair Obscur by fishing out change from underneath their couch cushions. And when you have so many different companies sharing the same investors that all treat them like banks, when the bust does happen, those investors aren't just going to pull out of the companies that are using AI. They're going to pull out of all of the companies, at least until the market settles and they can safely deposit their money again at a profit. Again, all this says nothing about the creative bankruptcy of subsidizing real people with generative AI to develop a video game. And I think that alone is worth its own discussion. Unfortunately, I fear that the sanctity of art is far from the biggest concern game developers will be facing in the coming years. Luxury products are always the first to feel a hit during periods of financial turbulence, and as cost of living continues to rise as wages remain stagnant and social safety nets are cut left and right, all while corporate profits continue to break record after record every year, a dot-com style crash could see immense repercussions not just for the gaming industry, but for the entire world.